So I think that's just kind of been the time for me to like really find some patience, and I've never been a patient person my entire life, so this has definitely tested me a little bit.
They say patience is a virtue. And for Caitlin Clark,
do you truly believe the official story about Caitlin Clark's injury? After hearing this, you'll never look at her comeback or the WNBA the same way again. Drop a comment below and tell me your take. What if everything you thought you knew about Caitlin Clark's injury was a lie? What if her unexpected absence wasn't just a random setback, but a pivotal moment in a larger untold story? Her return isn't merely about lacing up her sneakers and jogging back onto the court. It's the dramatic unveiling of a far more dangerous, strategically evolved version of the WNBA's biggest star. This isn't just a comeback, it's the calculated beginning of a new era, fueled by a shocking truth about how she really got injured, and why this unexpected turn of events was secretly the best thing that could have happened for her, for the Fever, and for the entire league. The stage is set for a monster return, where records are destined to fall and every previous narrative is about to shatter.
Obviously, this game is peaking at 3.2 million viewers is crazy for the WNBA, even for the Fever. So this year's peaks are already freaking higher than last year's peaks when this team was starting to do a bit well.
Possessions for New York. Clark, step back three. Oh, she hit it and draws the foul. Welcome back. 1 second left. Clark doesn't get the shot off. Cloud locks her up, and New York comes into Indianapolis and takes the checkered flag.
From the moment she stepped onto the WNBA court, the world watched with bated breath, but something was subtly amiss. While the highlight reels piled up and records tumbled, keen observers noticed a slight hesitancy, a fraction less explosiveness, a subtle dulled edge to her signature moves that hinted at an underlying issue. Her explosive first step seemed less potent, her ability to create separation just a hair slower. It wasn't obvious to the casual viewer, but for those who had followed her collegiate career, it was like a faint, discordant note in an otherwise perfect symphony. The official word eventually came: a strained quad incurred during the intense Liberty game. But what if that was merely the culmination of a longer silent battle? What if Caitlin, known for her fierce competitive spirit, had been playing through a deeper, accumulating injury for weeks, maybe even since preseason? The whispers among analysts grew louder. This wasn't a sudden freak accident. This was a ticking time bomb, a slow burn injury she bravely, perhaps recklessly, tried to push through until her body simply couldn't take anymore. This isn't just speculation. It's a prevailing theory that suggests a deeper layer to this story.
I think this was a kind of gut punch for us. We're going to come back tomorrow practice, more focus, more energy. We know we want to be at the end of the season, but we're not just going to get there. You know, sometimes it sucks and it's a grind, and that's where we're at right now. But I do think short-term and long-term, it's going to make us better.
Inbound to Mitchell, who nearly lost it, retreats, gets up a really tough shot, and Connecticut survives.
And if there's one thing that is a certainty for the Indiana Fever, it's that hold on to Aari McDonald at all costs. And the Indiana Fever has beaten the Chicago Sky by a combined 62 points in 2 games.
And if that theory holds true, it opens up a Pandora's box of unsettling questions, especially when you consider the immense financial stakes involved. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player, she's a phenomenon, a marketing titan, a billion-dollar asset to the WNBA. The sheer economic impact of her presence, from viewership records to surging ticket sales, is unprecedented. So if she was indeed playing through a significant injury, did the team or even the league know about it? And if they did, why was she allowed or perhaps even subtly encouraged to keep playing? This isn't to accuse anyone of malice, but rather to highlight the immense pressure surrounding such a valuable commodity. Liability management becomes a chilling phrase in this context. If a star player, critical to the league's burgeoning success, goes down with an injury they were reportedly playing through, the optics are disastrous and the potential PR nightmare looms large. It suggests a possible calculation, a weighing of immediate gains against long-term risks, all while the player, fueled by an insatiable desire to compete, pushes her body to its absolute limit. This wasn't just a physical breakdown, it exposed a delicate balance between player well-being, competitive drive, and the colossal business interests at play.
The cheapest ticket for the June 7th showdown is $14. According to Vivid Seats, oh, there's some even less expensive than that. The cheapest ticket for that game next month is currently at $82, according to Vivid Seats. It gets much worse. Therefore, there's currently an 83% drop between the two games.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, the most coddled basketball player in history. She is the 43rd best player in the WNBA. She is, and that is being the most generous I can be coming into this season.
But fam, don't you dare exclude Angel Reese out of that. That is favoritism. Don't show that, man. You need to call Angel Reese out the same way you are willing to call everybody else out.
The immediate aftermath of Caitlin's departure was chaotic, a brutal test of the Fever's resilience. The team, still finding its identity, faced immediate struggles, culminating in a humbling loss to a previously struggling opponent. To compound the misery, key players like Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson quickly joined Clark on the injury list, further shredding the team's already thin depth chart. The narrative immediately shifted to one of despair, with many analysts questioning if the Fever could survive without their cornerstone. But from this deep well of adversity, an astonishing transformation began to unfold, spearheaded by an unlikely hero. Enter Arie McDonald, a hardship signing who arrived almost out of nowhere, plucked from the sidelines to fill an unforeseen void. She wasn't just a replacement, she was an ignition switch. McDonald brought an infectious energy, a blistering pace that instantly changed the team's tempo, and a much-needed offensive spark. Her ability to push the ball, create turnovers, and finish strong gave the Fever a new dimension. Suddenly, the team started to click. Kelsey Mitchell, previously hampered by an early season slump, found her rhythm, erupting with her signature scoring bursts. Aaliyah Boston continued to solidify her dominance in the paint, becoming an even more consistent offensive and defensive anchor. Lexi Hull, who had shown flashes, blossomed into a legitimate threat from beyond the arc, staking a real claim for most improved player. The collective gut punch Sophie Cunningham spoke of seemed to galvanize them. They learned to rely on each other, to trust new rotations, and to embrace a more collaborative offensive flow. They avenged their earlier loss to the Mystics with a decisive victory, and then, in a highly anticipated rematch against a rival, they delivered an absolute statement. In front of a near-capacity crowd of 20,000 fans, the Fever didn't just win, they obliterated them, a stark contrast to their earlier blowout victory that had felt more about the opponent's struggles than their own strength. This time, they did it without Caitlin, without Cunningham, without their head coach Stephanie White. This wasn't just a victory, it was a profound declaration. The Indiana Fever, forged in the fires of adversity, had learned how to fight, how to adapt, and how to win even without their biggest star. This growth, this newfound cohesion, means the team Caitlin Clark is returning to is not only stronger, but fundamentally more dangerous than the one she left behind. It's a testament to their resilience, and it means the impact of her return will be magnified exponentially.
Is this an injury that happened during a game or anything, or is it just something that is lingering that popped up? Or
It happened in the Liberty game, yeah.
Were you able to pinpoint a time in the Liberty game that happened, or you were just...
No, definitely early in the game, but I couldn't tell you the exact play something occurred on. And
happened in the Liberty game, yeah, I don't believe that. She looked 60% in the Liberty game. She looked no better against the Atlanta Dream, and there's no way it happened in the Liberty game. Unless, like, she looked so much better in the second half of the Liberty game as well. And I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
If things just go as they were, and we have expanded season of 22 home games with modest inflation, I'm looking at $875 million.
And while the Fever were busy redefining themselves, Caitlin's absence served as an undeniable, stark demonstration of her unique market power, exposing a brutal truth the league, perhaps, wasn't ready to confront. The Caitlin Clark effect wasn't just a catchy phrase, it was the engine driving unprecedented growth for the WNBA, and then she was gone. The immediate dramatic plunge in ticket sales was breathtaking. A game that, with Caitlin, would demand top dollar, saw tickets plummet to as low as 3 when she wasn't playing. Conversely, a later rematch for the very same teams, with Caitlin's return anticipated, saw tickets surge back to $82, an 83% increase. This wasn't just a decline, it was a devastating collapse, a chilling void that screamed the singular truth: she is the draw, The league's carefully crafted storylines, its attempts to promote other players as equivalent stars, all came crashing down under the stark, undeniable contrast. This wasn't about other players, it was about the unparalleled star power of one individual who could fill arenas and break viewership records simply by being on the court. It was a wake-up call, a definitive statement to anyone who still doubted her irreplaceable value. With that undeniable truth came the brutal shattering of other carefully constructed narratives, particularly the highly promoted rivalry that dominated early season headlines. This supposed rivalry, heavily amplified by certain media personalities, was meant to carry the league through Clark's absence. But when the spotlight, once shared, suddenly illuminated a single stage, it starkly revealed a painful reality. The league's most heavily promoted young star, thrust into the void left by Clark, delivered one of the season's most embarrassing performances under the biggest spotlight. It wasn't just a bad game, it was the final devastating blow to a narrative that was already on life support. The constant media spin, the insistence that others were equally moving the needle or deserving of the same level of attention, suddenly rang hollow. The public watched, the numbers spoke, and the verdict was unanimous. Angel Reese, despite the hype, was not the one driving the numbers, nor was she sustaining the interest. Her performance, or lack thereof, definitively ended any pretense of a rivalry under the brightest lights. It became painfully clear, this is Caitlin Clark's league, and now without any doubt, everyone knows it. This isn't just about winning games. It's about undeniable influence, about who truly shapes the future and the perception of the WNBA. The league's marketing strategy, its promotion of other players, will surely undergo a seismic shift after this undeniable proof.
She hasn't looked really right all year. Like, the Sky game was the Sky game. They destroyed the Sky. Sky were terrible. But outside the Sky game, she hasn't looked right at all. She didn't look right in preseason. She hasn't looked right at all this year.
I think at times the hardest part is like just not being able to be involved in practice. Like, I love practice. Not a ton of people always enjoy like coming to practice every single day, but that's something I like really enjoy. Like, I really enjoy coming out here and like competing every single day with my teammates. Like, that's probably honestly what I miss most. Obviously I miss the games. That goes for anybody that's ever hurt, but like, I love practice. I love getting better. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a unique perspective, you know, when you're out there playing and actually in the heat of the moment, you don't always realize everything. You don't always see everything. You see things from a different perspective that maybe the coaching staff didn't see. So it's certainly different. So I'm trying to, you know, kind of be that connector between the coaches and then my teammates at the same time, whether, you know, that's in the locker room at halftime, whether that's during timeouts of, you know, things I see from the bench that maybe might be a little bit different of a perspective than maybe our point guard is seeing or, you know, anybody on the floor is seeing.
So, if the conspiracy theory holds true, if Caitlin has been quietly battling an unseen compounding injury all along, then her forced absence is, paradoxically, the ultimate blessing in disguise. Imagine this, she was still putting up solid numbers, still delivering highlight reels, still impacting games, all while compromised, operating at significantly less than 100%. What happens when the fully healthy, fully explosive Caitlin Clark steps back onto the court? It's a terrifying prospect for the rest of the league. Her signature burst, her deep range accuracy, her ability to effortlessly glide past defenders, all expected to return with an intensity rarely seen. But it's not just physical healing she's gained. Her time on the sidelines has been a unique, invaluable masterclass. From the bench, Caitlin has been meticulously studying the game from a whole new angle, gaining a coach's perspective she never had while actively playing. She's been locked in, absorbing every detail, breaking down plays with the coaching staff, anticipating defensive rotations, identifying offensive opportunities, and seeing the court with an entirely different strategic lens. She's been transforming into an even smarter, more lethal leader, absorbing every nuance, ready to implement a new level of strategic dominance upon her return. This time away hasn't just healed her body, it has sharpened her mind, refined her understanding, and imbued her with a strategic depth that will make her an even more dangerous, unpredictable force. This period of forced introspection and observation will elevate her game in ways that pure on-court time never could, preparing her to lead not just with athleticism, but with unparalleled basketball IQ.
After that, it's, you know, day by day and see how I feel and just kind of turn to the medical staff and what they think. But I feel like I've made a lot of progress and I feel good and, you know, not going to rush coming back. It's just not worth it.
The question hanging over every Fever fan, every headline, every broadcast remains. When exactly is Caitlin Clark coming back? Her own words, delivered with a calm, assured tone, provide the most crucial clue. She's feeling good, making undeniable progress, but critically, she's not going to rush. This patient approach, this refusal to push through pain again, signifies a profound shift in mindset. It's about more than just one game. It's about the entire season, the championship aspirations, and a legacy yet to be written. This methodical, unhurried recovery suggests a deeper understanding of her body and the long game ahead. The league, and indeed the entire sports world, is on pins and needles, anticipating something unprecedented. She was already shattering viewership records and driving attendance figures to dizzying heights before her absence. Now, the stark contrast between the league with Caitlyn and without her is undeniably clear, etched in plummeting ratings and empty seats. The Fever, forged in the fires of adversity, have found their identity, learned to fight, and built a profound cohesion in her absence. When Caitlyn Clark inevitably returns, the WNBA will bear witness to a game unlike any other. This wasn't just a comeback story, it was a strategic reset, a forced evolution for both the player and the team. A stronger, smarter Caitlyn Clark, leading a more cohesive, confident, and battle-tested team, is now perfectly positioned to do what everyone hoped from the start: turn the Indiana Fever into an undeniable championship contender. The league thought it was ready for her initial arrival. It has no idea what's truly coming next. Records are about to fall, narratives are already shattered, and the reign truly begins anew, ushered in by a player who has transformed beyond all expectations.